These Hollywood managers, they think their shit don't smell.
Let me tell you something, Terry. When the shit hits the fan, it all smells the same.
It does, actually. It really does. No matter who you are. My name is Richard Kelly, and I'm the writer-director of this motion picture you are watching called Southland Tales. And today is August 25th, 2008, 2:18 p.m. And she whips out her fluid karma syringe and she sticks him in the neck. And depending on what color setting you have the syringe set to, it does a different thing. And in some cases, it knocks you unconscious. It keeps you sedate. But it's in your veins, and it's now putting more fluid karma in any of the twins is just like adding gasoline to the fire. You see the great machine in the ocean spewing fluid karma up into the atmosphere, foreshadow of the atmospheric cataclysm to come. And the glowing hand. The twins, now both under the fluid karma spell, realizing that the primer has something to do with the handshake and humanity coming together over one man shaking his own hand. A little bit of a running gag in the movie is that this movie is about as complicated in a lot of ways in terms of the plot and this absurd collage of events that occurs in LA is the interpretation of the Book of Revelations. In the longer version of this movie, there will be an answer to this question.
You wanna fuck or watch a movie?
So you're gonna have to wait to know what her response to this question is. This is what you call the Melrose Place scene in the middle of the film. It's a long 7-page dialogue scene where all the characters come together to confront one another in the spirit of Agatha Christie or Clue and Melrose Place, with lightning accenting each plot point in a convenient way. And the mystery of Madeline's pregnancy, is it really Brant's baby? And how did the Baron get those blood tests after all? Yeah, this is just some of the soap opera madness at the fringes of the film that I somehow come up with. And Katerina is holding these fluid karma energy orbs, which are remote antennas for the fluid karma energy field. For those of you who want to know what the orbs mean, they are described in Book 3 as being these remote antennas for when you have the liquid pulsing through your veins, these orbs concentrate and heighten the energy. It's almost like having your laptop next to a Wi-Fi antenna. It makes you feel high. The fluid karma solution is sort of this sort of divine opiate that, and it's in your system. If there's someone orchestrating all this from above, it helps connect those people. It helps them kind of have this religious experience that takes them down the path. So he feels it's important to give this kid a bunch of this fluid karma and explain it all to him. And sure enough, Martin takes it and ends up in the right place at the right time. And hopefully this sequence in Justin's makeup and his portrayal of this character is one that I would hope veterans would enjoy and identify with the sort of the blackest of black comedy here, and that it's meant with great respect. This dream sequence is coming up, about to start here with the killers and all these things that I've done, is a fluid karma hallucination, and it actually has a very specific reference to what happened in Chapter 3 in Iraq and how he was disfigured when they were helicoptering into Fallujah with his friend, Roland Tavener, while high on fluid karma as an experimental drug for telepathy between the soldiers in Iraq. And they were listening to the killers on their iPod when he was mistakenly had a grenade thrown at him by his friend, and it exploded, shrapnel in his face, and disfigured him. So this song obviously has memories of his reminder of being disfigured, but also the lyrics have obvious meaning and a reminder that No one is born a killer, they are made a killer by circumstance and other outside influences. And the wigs are obviously reference to Marilyn Monroe in American iconography, post-Second World War iconography, and then melded into this sort of postmodern, blood-soaked, Budweiser-drenched nightmare that is kind of beautiful at the same time. I guess that's what this movie kind of is intended to be, a beautiful nightmare, to try to make the nightmare as palatable and fun to watch as possible. So maybe you can think about how to try to solve the one that's going on in the real world. Roland's chair, shaped like a hand, the hand being a subconscious reference to the primer and the handshake, this hand chair. So all these plot threads, they all come back and weave together. Some of them more obviously than others, but they're all necessary. A couple of subplots that I'd like to restore that ultimately tie even more of Simon theory and some of the science fiction of fluid karma into it all, and the military. And well, if you read the graphic novels, it's all there. He meets Ronald Tavener, who prevents him from his own suicide. And pimps, of course, don't commit suicide. Pimps being Americans, or veterans, or anyone with the capacity to do good and not blow their brains out. Ironically saying she doesn't work in distribution, but she's seeking distribution for her documentary about Middle Eastern persecution of women. Aren't we all seeking distribution, Cindy? We all are. All we want is distribution. Mr. Larroquette did a good job of portraying what it feels like to have a taser gun to the balls. It's never happened to me, but if I keep making movies like this, I'm sure someone will taser me in the balls at some point. This is a ton of information being thrown at you, and car bombs starting to go off, terrorist attacks happening. It's all going down. You really have to watch this movie several times to really digest all of this, and I'm sure it's overwhelming. I don't know how many more of these like Southland Tales I'll ever get to do again, but I'm glad I got this out of my system. Boxer, now in full Jericho Kane mode, chugging Bud Light, his favorite drink. If you read the graphic novel and the Power screenplay, Bud Light is Jericho's drink. It's all he drinks. And you'll see Budweiser and Bud Light all over this movie. And if you want to play a drinking game while watching Southland Tales, which I highly recommend, as long as you're not driving, of course, is to look for any reference to Budweiser. You just missed one with the little planes doing a little symbol. And drink every time you see Budweiser or Bud Light.